Hey, welcome to Loose Change. Batteries are included. Yeah. That's good for the holidays, right? Hi, I'm Jim Evans. Thanks for joining us. And we have a very, very special show for sure, so stay right where you're at. Greg, you know I'm always looking for at least unusual stories in the news, and I think this qualifies. This actually happened. Give me a moment to set this up. A guy in Columbiana County was living in his RV, which was parked in his backyard of his home. Well, unfortunately, he passed away. And as it turns out, he was also living in the RV with his wife, who had passed away 7 years earlier. And apparently, their son called the police, and they did a report, and they said that she had been fairly well preserved, somehow naturally, all that time. So, not to make light of anyone's demise, but just when you thought you've heard everything. Greg, you know what? I am certain that you will not find that one in the brochure from A Place for Mom. Yeah. Boy, I'm having a hard time adjusting to the time change. I keep doing this. Once again, I forgot to turn the TikTok back an hour. Throw me all off. But even the daylight now, it's getting darker early, and I notice the sun, is much lower later in the day, and that throws off perspective a lot of things. Like I was watching a rerun of The White Shadow, and it ran 10 minutes longer. When I wrote that, I still have it a while ago. Anyway, what else? And 2 egg rolls. Oh, and hey, extra MSG. Golf. And I like to completely forget about last season. Yeah, that's for sure. It did not go well for me this past golf season. I didn't get out and play enough, but I was so inconsistent. Hopefully better next season for sure. However, I realized the only way I would now become a scratch golfer is if I was searching for a lost ball and I got poison ivy. That's the only way it's going to happen for me now. Well, high school football wrapped up locally, and South Range and Ursuline made the biggest runs, as a lot of people thought that they maybe would prior to the season. Unfortunately, it ended at the state semifinals, the Final Four, and they weren't able to take that extra step, and I know that's still difficult for them. But nonetheless, terrific seasons for sure. Congratulations to everyone and all of our high school teams. NFL, the Steelers are playing much better than anybody thought they would before the year got started. And they even lost to the Browns, who have struggled. And we've talked about that enough for sure. But your team is struggling when they have a bye week and they're still a 12-point underdog. That's kind of the way it's been going for them. I've been watching a lot of college football, and I really enjoy the crowd cutaways during a college game, especially the student section, like this guy. There's your six-pack abs. All 9 six-packs. But man, he's living life. He's having fun, that's for sure, at the game. All right, we're going to take a break, and then we'll be back and have 2 very special guests who are going to join us. So you want to remain right where you're at, here on Loose Change.
Supercharge your internet. Only Zoom Extreme from Armstrong combines unlimited data with whole home Wi-Fi at the fastest speeds possible. Zoom Extreme from Armstrong.
Welcome back to Loose Change. I'm Jim Evans, and sitting next to me is one of my longtime great friends and the president of the Salem Area Browns Backers Club, Jeff Good.
Thanks for having me on, Jim.
Thanks for
Thank you so
coming
much.
in, Mr. President.
Yes. It was a bad election, but it's all good.
We'll talk about campaign contributions,
exactly.
things like that.
Exactly.
Before that. But tell us about this. We've known each other a long time, and we're big Browns fans, and I know how passionate you've been about it. And how did this come to be for you to come into this position and take this lead?
It's interesting because when we moved away for about 5 years, lived
Yeah.
in Michigan for a while. Came back, and as a Browns fan living in Michigan, you relate to the Detroit Lion fans, and so when we came back, I was like, well, how can I continue to be supportive of the Browns? Kind of looked into online and realized there was a formalized organization called Browns Backer Worldwide. Over 300 clubs. They're recognized as one of the largest, I guess you'd call, fan organizations in the
Yes.
country and actually in the world. There's actually they're in over 10 countries where there's brown backers.
I had read that before, yes.
So kind of put something together and thought, at full transparency, it was, what can I do to watch the games at home and bring my friends over? So at first it was, we were in the garage and we were a Browns backer organization. We had a sign. And then you really start looking into what the Browns Backer Worldwide is all about. And that's all about connecting with your community and looking at fundraising and making a connection to an agency somewhere. And so I recently have a little bit extra time since I'm in a retirement mode and thought, well, I really want, so that's 2010, let's flash forward, 14 years later, and now suddenly I have more time. So I started looking into what could we do to do more. And so we hopped around different locations. We've been in Columbiana, we've been in really 2 locations in Columbiana, and realized really needed to get back to Salem area. And so we had a great conversation with the owners of the Oasis Sports Bar, Indoor Golf. They were very interested in being a Browns backer watch bar. And so that was last year. And then this year, with my extra time, we really began to focus on what money are we, why are we here? As an organization, what are we here to do? So fortunately, and unfortunately, there was a death in the family of the kind of the management and the owning team of Oasis Bar. And Victor was very passionate, and this was the brother that was lost, very passionate about the Browns, and also very passionate about supporting kids with autism. And what a great connection. At that point, once
Yes.
we learned that, we made a connection with the Rich Center for Autism at YSU,
Great.
talked to them about how we can do fundraising and how we can make that connection. And what we found out along the way, which was very interesting, is Bernie Kosar is very actively involved with the Rich Center for Autism.
Yeah.
And that was a really great tie-in. So
His sister Beth. yeah.
since that time, we've done a lot of different fundraising events throughout the year. We started out in September with because Oasis Bar is also indoor golf simulators. So we did a closest to pin competition, and we actually had a golf bag that was signed by Bernie Kosar. That was a gift. We did that for the month of September. We rolled into October, and we said, well, what do we really want to do in October? And part of what I wanted to make sure happened is that the community became more aware of the Salem area Browns backers, but also supported Oasis.
Well,
bar.
sure, right. yeah.
So we did a children's Halloween costume party, and it was out. We probably had about 100 parents and children there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then there was a Browns game, and everyone went home. There were 5 of us at the game. So we did that through the month of October. And that was more about awareness and making sure that folks could patronize, and realize how important this all was to Oasis. And then in November, and tied in with the NFL, they do I think it's the first, second, and third week in November is Salute to Service. So we had a Myles Garrett jersey, and I had a Bernie Kosar signed football and a hat, a Salute to Service hat, and we did a 3-week Salute to Service fundraiser. Folks bought raffle tickets. We made that connection. Gave that away. It was actually won by a Pittsburgh Steelers fan of all things.
Yeah, well.
And he donated it to one of our longtime Browns backer members, and so that worked out well. And so now we rolled into November, and that's wrapped up. And we had, I guess, the end of November, we actually had a chili cook-off, and we had about 8 entries. We had probably about 30 people. Taste testing raised about $500 for the Rich Center. So we just keep doing those philanthropic. We've got a big golf outing, a virtual golf outing of all things.
Yeah,
coming
explain
up.
that. How
Yeah,
that works.
I wish I could explain it better because it's basically golf. But as I said to my son, who's going to be golfing with me, I said the beauty of this golf outing is I'm not going to lose any balls.
That's right. You hope.
Yeah, exactly. If I do,
But you're hitting into simulators.
in a simulator. Yep. So it's just like a golf outing. You're playing 18 holes. You've got a foursome. I want to say it's a scramble, and that's going to happen on December 7th. So as this taping occurs, that event will have happened already. But we've got a good turnout for that. And then, from the point that this broadcast gets out there, we're also doing a Toys for Tots. That started on the 22nd of November, and that's going to run until December 22nd. We've got 2 gift baskets, one men's gift basket, a women's. Every toy that you donate, you get a raffle ticket, or you can buy raffle tickets. And those are available, and that's going to run until December 22nd. So it's, I guess there's a benefit of having free time is being able to coordinate all these things, but also kind of take my background in fundraising and making that connection with communities and being able to pull that into the Browns backers.
It's really cool that it's not just about a bunch of guys getting together to watch a football game. It's far more than that. And how, when you approached, the organization to get involved, what was that process like?
Which organization?
The Browns to get involved with the.
It's an application process. The way I think the way it used to work, and I think it still does, is that your organization can't be within 20 miles of another Browns backer a Browns backer group.
Yeah.
So as we talked a little bit earlier, it's and I want to make sure that everyone knows that there are a ton of other Browns backer organizations across, just in this area, there's at least 10 to 15 that are doing the same wonderful things that we're doing in Salem. So whether it's folks in Lake Milton or up in Howland, those folks all have chapters of that and are doing really the same. We pale in comparison to what those folks are doing, and they've been around for quite a while. So it was an application.
But you're building, You're
yes,
building.
exactly. It's an application process, and you go. Our connection is a gentleman by the name of Corey Kinder. He's with the Browns, and his role with the Browns is basically building this outreach and supporting the Browns backers that are, like I said, literally over 300 chapters in 10 countries.
Is Ken Kryler vice president?
He perhaps is, I think. I think he is.
Well, he's the guy for the job.
On paper.
Okay, he said it. Obviously, the interest, with these fundraising things has grown. Have you seen that really escalate from when you first started?
Oh, very much so. And I think a lot of it, it's funny because I say this as best I can. When the product of the Browns is not great,
yes,
you have to have other things to make sure people know that what they're doing is supportive. It started with that closest to pin, but each one since then, I jokingly made the comment about the Halloween parade, but that's exactly what it was. We had over 100 people in the organization, and they ran in the Oasis, and that ran from 11 until 1, and then at 1 o'clock, those 100 people left, and there was the 8 of us all sitting around and watching a Browns game. So how do you continue to, and that's the struggle that I've had lately is how do you endorse a product when it's a tough time? So what you can do is you endorse what your mission is. And if the mission is to raise funds and make that connection with Rich Center for Autism, then I'm going to keep pushing that.
What will you do in the off season, if anything, or do you wait till you get going?
Great question. Since the passing of the brother, that really kind of he was a fervent Browns fan and so supportive of kids with autism, they started a golf outing at Flying Bee in April. And
okay.
So that will happen again the end of April, which will be it's not the first annual golf outing, but it'll be the first annual that'll be a collaborative effort between Flying Bee, Rich Center for Autism, and the Salem area Browns backers. So that'll be our April event, and then we'll ramp up, and get ready for August and September of next year.
You mentioned about the virtual golf thing. I thought about maybe getting involved in the long drive competition, but I know how that would turn out, as it has for me before. So
exactly,
we won't go into that story down in the Licking
there we go.
County fish and trout, whatever that was.
It was yes, very much so.
And Ms. Howard blazed me.
Yes, very much so.
I hit it out there though that day.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I really did.
As you once said, you brought it.
Yeah, I did that, and I thought I had it. But anyway, that's inside stuff, but everybody still laughs about that. Before we get out of here, watching the Browns as you do, difficult to to play it out here the rest of the season. What are your thoughts about how what the team should do, or to reposition and get in the right direction moving forward? Not that you have all the answers, but you follow.
There's a reason why I'm the retired guy, not making the millions of dollars to be a coach of a professional organization. Yeah, I just think it needs to be a recognition of talent and be able to say, okay, let's draft a quarterback. Let's look towards the future. Let's think about where defense has been doing secondary struggles a bit.
Yeah.
But let's look at all of those components. Let's improve upon what we have. Keep those players, the Myles Garretts, the Denzel Wards. Let's try to keep them around. Let that be the nucleus, and then build. I mean, it sounds so simple, and every time we talk about it,
but it is. It's complicated, but
right.
It is simple.
Yeah,
and it truly is. But it's easier said than done.
When you look at teams like Denver, and their first round pick struggled the first 4 games, and then is just gangbusters now.
Yeah.
You think, okay, there's a possibility there.
It can happen, for sure.
So,
well, keep pounding out there, pulling for those Browns. But what you're doing with the Browns backers is a great thing with all the charity things you're doing, and keep up the good work with that.
Jim, thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it here on your show.
Thanks, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays to
Jeff
you,
Good. We'll be right back with Tim Parks right after this.
Supercharge your internet. Only Zoom Extreme from Armstrong combines unlimited data with whole home Wi-Fi at the fastest speeds possible. Zoom Extreme from Armstrong.
Welcome back. I'm Jim Evans again, and I have the great privilege to be joined by the owner of, a very familiar guy for a lot of you out there, the owner of Parks Garden Center, the one, the only Tim Parks. Tim, thanks so much for coming in. I know how busy you are this time of year, and your time is very valuable. But just for those, so many people know you're out there and what you've been doing, but a little historical perspective, how long has this been going on for you guys out there? How did it all get started?
Well, my dad was a mill worker, and in 1969 he started landscaping.
Okay.
So he had the landscape business going, and then he decided to open a retail garden center. It was really a great thing because my dad was like in his 40s at that point in time. My brother and I were young enough to see all the work that went into it, and actually we're right in the trenches with him as he was building it. He started that in 1976, so we're coming up on 50 years.
Wow, that's really something.
Yeah.
And still going strong. I mean, I've been out there many times, and your clientele, you have loyal clientele that comes in there, don't you?
Well, one of the greatest things about being in retail is, and I tell people, it gives you the opportunity to meet so many people.
Right.
That you'd never have gotten the opportunity to meet and maybe doing a 9 to 5 somewhere.
Right.
And we love our clientele, and we try to keep a relationship with them and try to be fair with everybody. And I think that's, if you go about things in that manner and value their business and their relationship, the rest of it kind of takes care of itself.
What separates you from other folks that are doing what you're doing, if you could say?
I wouldn't like to say there's a lot of separation one way or the other. I can just tell you what maybe we do.
Yeah.
We're really passionate about what we do.
There you go.
And that's kind of our mantra. I'm 63 years old, and I still go away for continuing education. And I go to these, some of the stuff we go to is motivational stuff, and understanding Gen X and Gen Y and all these types of things. So I think being passionate about your business, and it translates over into your employees. We've been blessed to have wonderful people working with us every day. I tell people I couldn't go to work every day and not be in an environment where I felt I was making a difference, or it was conducive to maybe helping other people out.
What has changed over the years, if anything, in the way the business runs and maybe how you operate?
Well, I had this pain in my shoulder now. No. So
that comes to the territory, man.
What's changed probably, and I think anybody, when you get kind of like to the tail end of your career, is you have to understand that the times have changed, technology's changed.
Yeah, right.
And if you don't grasp it, you need to get out of the way and let somebody else that does grasp it, come in and have a hold of that, because to keep the thing moving forward, my wife and I talk, we have a responsibility we feel to the community. As things progress along, we just don't want to be the type of a business that cashes in. We want, the community supported us so well over all these years, and I think we have an obligation to, to conscientiously pass this thing forward and make sure it's there or perpetuates itself to serve the community moving forward.
That's what you've been doing, and of course you're a South Range graduate, and you had told me about the project that you were involved in in the community,
Sure.
for the Raider community, and tell us about that.
Well, so, one of the neat things about being in business and meeting people and being in the community for all these years is you get to meet a lot of great people, as I said earlier.
Right.
But I watched growing up all these guys in the community that gave of their time and gave of their resources. We just lost Joe Dickey here recently.
Yes.
He was a wonderful person, supported the South Range community. But, I look back at the people, the Whitmers, the Rhodeses, all those old guys I looked up to in the community and that gave of their time. And, time is probably as important or as valuable as what money is.
You're not kidding.
Okay. So, I grew up watching all that. And they did this project out there, the stadium project. And the Rominger family, was a big part of that whole stadium across the street from the school. Right. And, I kind of felt like in talking with the family that it was probably our turn to step up and do some things there. So we made a commitment to the patio area, because I went there, my brother went there, my wife went there, my sister-in-law went there.
There you go.
And all 5 of the grandchildren all went there. So,
yeah.
we wanted to support the community and give back. So, they built a really nice, and I got to say, the people that got into that project from the sports boosters and spearheaded that, what a commitment of time, and they did a wonderful job. But we were more involved with the patio portion of it. And so when you go out there on Friday nights, you'll look at, there's a big brick patio, a raised elevated area where the community can get together and visit. And they were gracious enough to name the plaza after the family. It's called the Parks Community Plaza. But for me, the tagline at the bottom is more important than the name at the top. And it said it's a place where family, friends, and neighbors can meet.
There you are. And root the Raiders on.
Root the Raiders on. And getting to that, we've had a good run this year.
Absolutely.
But, I got to tell you a little story. I see, you have a pretty good hitting percentage here. You get pretty good guests on. I'm not sure up until, at least until now.
I don't want to hear your shoulders story. But.
It's a common theme you hear with, some of the better coaches. They know it's about the kids and, setting people up for success. And, so much of what we do is the same thing. But these kids this year, I went to most of the games and, they didn't leave anything on the field.
No.
And that was always, that's all my kids will tell you, and they hate to hear it, but I hate to see potential wasted. Okay, I want to get the most you can get out of everything,
Sure.
And so for me, additionally, I don't coach, but I do in a little bit of a way. So we get some wonderful young people to come work for us, and we can have a lot of fun with them, kind of teaching them up a little bit, and some of them buy in more than others, but we've had great experiences over the years with these young people, and much like the kids that play football and go on and do things, I've had kids that left us, and I've gotten phone calls from their employers down the road who said, he had you on his resume. I just want to call and tell you, whatever you did with that kid, it worked, because he's 10 minutes early to work every day. He stays late. He's this, he's that, So, we've been blessed not only with great customers and staff, but, when you can be in a position where you're facilitating young people to be successful once they leave you. One of my things I'll tell somebody if they're not kind of pulling the line or whatever, and I've got to say something, I'll pull them off and I'll say, hey, listen, here's the deal. Do you really think that I want to have to tell you this? I don't, okay? But when you leave me someday and you go somewhere else, and if you pull what you're pulling now, they're going to look at you and say, where did you work before?
Yeah.
Or you're going to say, well, my last job, that was okay, okay? I said, when you leave here, I want somebody to really think a lot of you, okay?
Yeah, sure.
And you're a reflection of me, so, you need to kind of think about what you're doing here. And you'd be surprised.
That's a good way to get that across.
Yeah, we love the kids, the bottom line.
Sure.
And people say, and one of my personal sayings about all this is, or what I'll reply to, they'll say, oh, these kids, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. I said, listen, These kids are genetically no different than you or I are, or our parents were.
Or, yeah.
Somebody just got to take some time and educate them and show them a little bit about the work side of it.
There you are.
Okay? And you'd be surprised how they respond.
That's what a coach does.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing. Just get back quickly. You went to the old South Range High School, and that stadium, that old stadium over there,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was a gem. And
One of a
there's-
kind.
And
Yeah.
and what were your thoughts when the word came down that, hey, we're going to move out to the new place, and the new place has really come along great.
Oh, yeah.
It really
Yeah.
is a tremendous
Yeah.
facility now.
Right,
But
right.
I know for a lot of folks that was something to hold on to.
Well, I can remember the gym class running on the cinder track. So
Yeah.
when they were putting in a new stadium over there, I honestly, I thought all along that's what we needed to do right off the
Okay,
bat.
okay, all right.
Get everything in one spot, because I'm looking at it from a management standpoint.
There you go.
Okay, that old stadium was a gem. There's no doubt about it. But I'll give the people, the powers that be there at South Range and the community, they thought about how they set the grandstands up. And I actually talking to the previous superintendent, Dennis Dunham, here
Yes.
a couple weeks ago. He said, we did that. We built that grandstand. It's kind of steep, but we wanted everybody closer to the field.
Yeah.
It
It is, too. Yeah,
it
right,
is.
right.
So you're right in the action. And they put that raised patio area, and it sits up about 5 foot above the field.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can still have that area up there where everybody used to go stand in the grass. Now they can stand on the
Right.
patio and watch the game. So I think, we don't always all like change, but change is for the good.
Most of the time.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
can be, for sure. Back to your business here before we run out of time, but what are some special things you got going on here, the holiday season, and then you're getting into winter? And
So people that don't know the backside of it, we do a lot of production ourselves at the garden center
Okay.
there. So, when we get into Christmas, I'm already moving into spring.
okay,
So we do trees, roping, all the Christmas season. But at the same time, we got our eye on spring and already next fall. So we're already making the plans for what our production's going to be for the greenhouse, new varieties, etc. So we're a 7-day-a-week, year-round operation. I got started on all that, and then I started I started getting the moniker of, oh yeah, you're the pumpkin guy. And I thought, well, I really kind of want to be known for a little bit more in
Yeah,
life than
well,
the pumpkin
you would,
guy.
yeah.
But anyhow, we had this year was unbelievable. We had the #1 and the #2 pumpkin by weight grown in the world this year,
Oh,
both
wow.
exhibited here in Canfield. So that was like really crazy. We were 17 pounds off the world record, but more importantly, we had the #1 and the #2. That's a lot to be said.
And a lot of people participate in that, don't they?
Oh, we get them to come from Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York.
That's
Yeah,
really
we
something.
try to create a really good venue for this to all happen and a nice platform for these growers because they work so hard,
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but I'll tell you, your place is that's the destination for sure. And you've done a terrific job over the years. And as you move forward here, best of luck, and we'll see you out there again, hopefully. So,
Sure.
Tim, thanks so much.
Thanks
for
again for having me and giving me the
My
platform.
pleasure.
to talk
Maybe
a
we
little
can
bit.
we'll redo this again.
Yep.
All right, Tim Parks, everyone. We'll be right back after this.
And we'll see you down the road.
Supercharge your internet. Only Zoom Extreme from Armstrong combines unlimited data with whole home Wi-Fi at the fastest speeds possible. Zoom Extreme from Armstrong.
Well, that's going to do it for our show. Before we leave, I want to pass along condolences to the family of Bill Edwards, who left us recently much too soon. I always enjoyed playing golf with Bill when we got out. He was always really nice to me. And the best to Jackie and Dave and Holly and the girls and all of his family in the coming days and time ahead. Thanks so much to Jeff Good and Tim Parks for making our show that much better. And always to Greg Rote and all of you. Check us out on YouTube as you always can. You should. I'm Jim Evans. Happy holidays. We'll catch you next time right here on Loose Change.